Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the first Habita Dialogues, navigating work, family, and aging loved ones. This is our very first episode, so I'm super excited to be sharing with you. This is where we share honest conversations about caring for aging loved ones and how we navigate that, the challenges that come with that, and also giving you some practical solutions. So we do want it to be, it's live, it's interactive. If you do have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment box. And so let's get into it. I have with me the wonderful Angela Clarke BEM. Now, I have known Angela. I think I met Angela about 22 years ago, which is absolutely wild.
Yep.
Absolutely wild. And I'm just so firstly, welcome, Angela. Thank you for being
Thank
my
you.
first guest.
It's
It's
a pleasure.
Yeah, it's an absolute honor to have you here. And so before we get into the meat of it, I just want to share um, a few of your accolades because they are many. So Angela Clarke is a seasoned psychologist and psychotherapist with over 3 decades experience in adult social care. So you're listening and hearing from a veteran here, not just professional experience, but actual lived experience. And I love what you said in your bio, Angela, that your purpose is actually to serve others in need. And that literally drives everything you do. And so I'm so excited about hearing about that. And that actually drove you to become CEO of RAFA, an international development agency. And you also received a commendation from the Home Secretary in the UK and the British Empire Medal from King Charles. So amazing. So I want to stop talking now and I want to hear from you, Angela. How did we get here? Who are you and how did we get here?
That's an interesting question. There are many times I ask myself, who am I?
Yeah,
Because I hear people read things about me and I don't recognize that. But
I hear that.
yeah, it is my lived experience. And how I got here, yeah, the journey of life for me has been phenomenal. It's
Hmm.
been filled with so many different things, twists, turns, ups, downs, but nevertheless, um, I can still smile
Yeah.
and say that I enjoy life. And what it says
Mhm.
in my bio about serving others, I think fundamentally, right from a very young age, it was something that I knew that I was, let's say, called to do to serve
Yeah,
others. I've been doing that since I was a child, pretty
yeah,
much.
yeah.
So when you say seasoned, yeah, I suppose I am seasoned in doing that, and it now comes naturally. It's part of who I am.
Yeah.
Those who know me will know, yeah, that it's part of my kind of authentic self, as it
A-
were.
Absolutely. And literally every memory I have of you, literally, I was thinking about this and it involves you serving, it involves you caring for others, literally every memory. So, and I just love that it's not just your job, it's not just your work, it's your DNA. And I
Mm,
think that your accolades are a reflection of actually who you are. And I
mm,
think it's a beautiful thing when your work can actually reflect your purpose. And it's not just a job, but it's an extension of who you are. So, yeah,
yeah, I must say that the accolades themselves, I'm still in like disbelief really
yeah,
about the fact that when I was contacted by the Home Secretary
mm,
at that time, it was Priti Patel, and to say that I was being given an award.
mm.
And well, I think the award was for, and I'm going to read it because it's right in front of me. Actually,
Yeah,
it's my
please
award,
do.
and
Please
it
do.
says Home Secretary Commendation. It says for an outstanding contribution in the field of home affairs. And I thought,
Wow.
what have I done to deserve this? Because all I was doing was, helping others in my course of work. But
Mm,
that just to say that that commendation was specifically for the work that I had done with the Windrush generation,
wow.
because of the
Wow.
fact that when the Windrush scandal hit in 2018, um, obviously it caused uproar. There was a lot
Yeah.
of people that were affected. There still are a lot of people that are affected, and for me, I felt that I needed to do something about it. One,
Yeah.
because I'd had lived experience of it with my brother who came to this country in his teens. He was born in Jamaica and was sent, and my mother sent for him in his teens.
Mm.
It wasn't until years later that he became an adult that we realised that he actually needed to get naturalised. He actually
Yeah.
had to apply, pay, and naturalised, and be naturalised because of the fact that it wasn't done. He wasn't born
Yeah.
here for one, but at the time that he was born here, it was before Jamaica had its independence. So
Yeah.
really, he shouldn't have had to pay, shouldn't have had to go through that, but nevertheless he did. And there
Wow.
are other examples within my family where we've experienced it. So for me, it was really something that was really important. And I
Yeah.
felt that there must be so many other people affected by it. So being able to do something about it because of the fact that I was part of RAFA, that's how I heard about it,
Yeah.
and being able to do something practical, and actually being invited to the Home Office
Yeah.
many times, to sit around the table with the Home Office officials and to kind of say, well, this is just not acceptable, and
Yeah.
what are we going to do to make it better? And actually being able to have that voice, for me, that was a privilege. But for them to give me a commendation for it, I thought, well, actually, I've been holding you to task, and you're
Yeah.
giving me a commendation for it. So it kind of felt, yeah, it felt pretty surreal, to
Yeah.
be. And then,
Amazing.
it was in 22. So that was in, yeah. So both things happened kind of in the same year.
Wow.
Um, but in 22, in December 22, I was then contacted to be told that King Charles wanted to have me on his New Year's honours list.
Wow.
I thought, what? Yeah,
Incredible.
I mean, it was wow. It was a wow moment. And let me tell you what happened then. I got an email. I got an email, excuse me, and
Okay.
the email basically said that about the me being put on the New Year's honours list, and I thought it was a hoax. So I ignored it, and I mean, ignored it for weeks until I got um, I got an email from the palace to basically say, can you respond within 5 days? Otherwise,
Wow.
you won't be on the
Yeah.
list, kind of thing. And I thought, and in the end, I got on the phone and phoned them up because I still
Yeah.
didn't believe it. I
Wow.
phoned them up and they said, no, it's not a hoax, it's real. And
Wow.
yeah, so the rest is pretty much history. I was then put on the New Year's Honours list in
Mm.
2022, and in 2023 was when I received my British Empire Medal. And that was,
Incredible.
so again, I've got that certificate from the King in
Yeah.
front of me, which is it's great. It's just a great feeling, a great achievement. But I kind
It
of
is.
feel, as I say, I feel humbled because I've been able
Mm.
to achieve that in the course of my day to day life and my
Yes.
work
Yes.
and everything. And it's really it again. It was a surreal moment when I was
Mm.
just before I got the medal. They read this citation about you, and I sat there in amazement, thinking,
Yeah.
how do you know all of
How
this?
do you
How
know
do you get all
this?
this information? I knew all of the things that I'd done, and I thought, oh my God,
Wow.
it felt as if I was listening to them talking about someone else.
Yeah.
But it was, well, yeah, when I actually thought about it, it felt like such an achievement to
It
achieve all of
is.
those things and for it to be recognized, because a
Yeah.
lot of us, I'm not the only one who does, amazing things in their lifetime, but we don't all get recognized for it.
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
fact that I was recognized, it was an amazing, humbling experience for me.
It's incredible and well deserved, especially for those of us that have seen your life behind the scenes. For you to
Yeah.
be honored publicly in that way is just amazing. For us to get to celebrate you in that way as well, because it's a community achievement as well, like someone
Yes, it
from
feels like,
our
and that's
community.
what I say. That's
Yeah,
exactly what I said when I received my award. I said because it was interesting because it says that the inscription on the medal says "for God and the Empire," and
yeah,
and I said it couldn't have been more apt.
yeah,
But
exactly.
it isn't just about me. It is about God first and
Yeah,
foremost, because I feel that He
yeah,
has instilled in me the kind of tools and skills that I have to do what I do. But it's
100%.
for everyone. It's not just for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Incredible, incredible. So there's two things I want to talk about from that.
Okay.
One, when we speak about the Windrush generation,
Hmm.
and how old are they roughly? So they are fairly elderly.
Mhm.
They're getting on. And I want to speak about the inequalities
Mhm.
because we speak about the needs of the elderly,
Yeah,
but also we have to be careful not to blanket them because all elderly have needs. There's caregiving needs across the spectrum,
of
but
course.
there are also inequalities. Uh,
Yes.
so, firstly, can we talk about that? And then I want to go into your day to day work and what that actually looks like. So,
Okay.
let's talk about that the Windrush generation. Who are they, and what inequalities do we see, particularly within that generation?
Well, I mean, it is a difficult one. That yes, the Windrush generation, those who have been here, I suppose you could say between the from 1948 onwards, you would
Yeah.
classify them as the Windrush generation. And they came here specifically. The majority of those who came, I think, in that Windrush
Yeah.
era, we kind of think that it's only those people that came over on the Windrush, the Empire Windrush,
Mm.
on that boat that we talk about. But it wasn't just those people, although those people are the ones that we kind of recognize. But it's
Yeah.
all of those that came over, specifically the majority who were invited to come to the UK
Mm.
at the time when there was a need for labour and for a workforce,
Yeah.
a skilled workforce as well, in this country. And so there was a call out to different Caribbean islands, and not just Caribbean islands. So Africa and other places that
Mm.
the people were asked to come here and to give of themselves,
Yeah.
really. And they did that. They did that because they felt that they would be able to give their families a better life.
Mm.
And what that meant for a lot of them was the fact that they left family members. As I said, my own mum left her child, her baby.
Mm.
Her baby was like 1.5 when
Wow.
she left my brother. She left him there and came here. We weren't born then,
Yeah.
but she came here with my father, and they worked. And we hear about the NHS, the London Underground, and all of those places.
Mm.
Fords, where a lot of people worked, in the motoring industry.
Yeah.
A lot of these places and the Windrush generation came over and did things that lots of other people didn't want to do.
Yeah.
They did cleaning, they did all of the manual labor,
Mm.
and and even then, when I think about nursing, let's talk about nursing in the NHS for now. I remember when my mother came over, and she went into nursing, and the inequality there, and the fact that those who came over from from abroad, a lot of them there was a kind of two-tier system. So you had some who were elevated and who were able to go on and to be registered nurses, and
Mm.
then you had the others who were just would I say just I shouldn't say just, but they were termed as auxiliary nurses.
Yeah.
But they were doing so much of the work. They did
Yeah.
so much. My mum started as an auxiliary nurse, and she did that for many, many years and worked in various hospitals, and ended up, I think her last hospital was in Sutton Hospital,
Mm.
where she worked for many, many years, but did a lot of the work, as I said, that other people didn't want to do, and didn't get the chance to progress
Yeah.
as others did. And she used to talk to me about that inequality. So from a
Yeah.
very young age, I was hearing about the inequality that my
Yeah.
mother was experiencing. So I knew it existed. My
Yeah.
father worked at Ford's. He didn't really say much about what he did, but he just got on with it. And I
Yeah.
knew that the work was hard. And in when I remember those days, my parents were like ships in the night. My
Mm.
mum worked at night so that she could be with us during the day, and my father worked during the day so that my mum could be here with us.
Yeah.
When we came home from school and stuff like that. So I could imagine that their relationship wasn't much of a
Yeah.
relationship because they
Yeah.
hardly saw each other. They were
Yeah.
like ships in the night.
Mm.
And so our upbringing we had, in the early days, it was by two parents, but it felt like
Mm.
one parent at a
Yeah.
time. It was
Yeah.
very rare that they kind of combined their efforts to,
Yeah.
were with us. So I experienced that from very young,
Yeah.
um, that kind of inequality, and it has continued.
Mm.
Inequalities have continued. We've seen it. In the way that in the education system, in all different areas, we see it, and the reasons behind it, it's, I'm not going to sit here and say why it happens. We know that it happens, and to be naive and pretend that it doesn't happen,
Yeah.
you can't. Even for myself, I know that I've had to work very, very hard to get
Yeah.
where I am today, and it's been difficult. It's not been easy,
Mm.
um, and the opportunities, let me say, also the opportunities for myself, I've had to go out and seek them. They
Yeah.
haven't been handed to me on a plate.
Yeah.
I've had to go out and seek um, the opportunities and work hard for them. And I, because of my life and what my life has been like, and my life hasn't been easy, let me
Yeah.
say. I'm not saying that I've had an easy life, because I haven't. I've had a turbulent life,
Mm.
turbulent upbringing, and I've had to navigate my way
Yeah.
through. Um, so how I've quite done that is still a
Yeah.
mystery to me,
Yeah.
but not so much, because now that I have my faith, and I do, I kind of feel that there has been kind of a guardian
Mm.
angel, along the
Yeah.
path with me, despite it. But those inequalities, as I say, we see that, we saw it through COVID as well. It was
Mm.
highlighted, magnified, I suppose, in COVID. The kind of inequalities, the
Mm.
people who are on the front line, the people who have been disproportionately affected by
Mm.
illness, health, that, you look at, even access to health, access to mental health
Yes.
support. So it's vast, and it would be really difficult for me to kind of quantify it,
Yeah.
this moment, but it is far reaching,
Yeah.
and it can't be ignored. And a lot of the things that I do now are, it is around addressing inequalities in all its guises.
Yes.
It may be inequalities in health, it may be inequalities in education. Um, it is far reaching. So
Yeah.
for me, I try not to, I now try not to focus on the negatives of it. I
Yeah.
try to do something about it practically to improve it. Whatever small thing
100%.
that I can do is, so if it is sitting around the tables with the Home Office and kind of say,
Mm.
right, I was privileged to sit with Wendy Williams when she was doing her review.
Mm.
She did her review of the Windrush compensation and all of the Windrush scandal. And she asked my views about whether I felt the Home Office um, had improved and were adhering to the
Yeah.
recommendation, whether the additional recommendations and the findings from the reports. And I kind of, my response was the fact that I don't know what's happening within the Home Office.
Yeah.
I don't know what's happening. All I know is that what I am doing is trying to build a bridge between the Home Office and the community,
Yeah.
because there is this great divide. So whatever I can do to make a difference, and if it is building that bridge, to kind of say, right, okay, let me go in there and speak to you. Let me be the voice for the voiceless, for the people who can't or
Yeah.
don't have the opportunity to go in and tell them what
Yeah.
it's like. The fact that I've been able to do that, the fact that I've even been able to contribute to the review and stuff like that, yeah, I do see it as a major thing. It's not about accolades here,
Yeah.
Katrina, for me. It's
Yeah.
about actually being able to be practical about supporting people who don't have that voice, or may not be able to be in the places that I'm able to be in, to kind of voice for them. You can play the game. You can go there and smile and take pictures and all the rest of it, but that's not what it's about for
Yeah.
me. It's about actually practically making a difference and standing up for these people, in a positive way, not in a negative way. It's not about complaining and whatever. It's about talking about the facts. This is the facts. This is what we're
Yeah.
dealing with. The
Yeah.
fact is that my parents came here, as many others did. And actually, if they didn't realize that they were supposed to naturalize when it
Mm.
was on offer free, and as
Yeah.
a result of that, they now find themselves in a situation that they cannot prove their right to be here.
Wow.
Something needs to be done about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If there is a fact that the documents that the Home Office had were disposed of or got rid of, whether it be accidental or whatever, own up to it, say that it happened, and actually help those people who now find themselves in a predicament where they can't, or they and actually we think it's just about the Windrush generation, but it isn't, because
Mm,
it also affects the descendants. It
yeah,
affects their children, and it can affect their children's children.
yeah,
So it's not confined just to just to a generation. It
yeah.
will affect generations to come.
Yeah. So I'm guessing the Windrush generation and many in the age group that I guess would be in their 70s, 80s,
Yeah,
some of them even in their 90s.
very
Now,
much so. Yeah,
when they're trying to get care from the system, when they're trying to get help from the system,
yeah,
there's difficulties because they came over in their younger days to help with in the NHS, and like you said, public services, and now they're elderly,
yeah.
they now can't get the support they need. So it's a massive problem, and so you're lobbying for them. And what else is the government doing for them so that they don't they some of these inequalities are alleviated in their old age? Yeah.
You see, it's an interesting one. You don't know what you don't know.
Mm,
And I think the generations that we come from were from a generation, they were very, very resilient. And
very.
they tried to do for themselves, and they didn't ask for handouts. They didn't expect anything as a right. So they continued to make ends meet with whatever they had. Um, Now we are, and there are two, let me say, there are two sides to this. If you're talking about the people who can't prove their right to be here but need help and can't get it,
Yeah.
yes, that is very, very unfortunate. And there needs to be support for those people, because you get to the stage where you need support. um, there are assessments that are done as to
Yeah.
whether they meet the criteria for support, and I'm talking
Mhm.
about free support. And if they do not have recourse to public funds, then it would be like being in America and not having
Right.
health insurance.
Yeah.
And it may be that you may not be entitled to treatment, or if you are, you may have to go on a waiting list as opposed to get it straight away. Do you get what
Mm,
I mean?
yes.
But here we have an NHS system that was built by the majority of the Windrush generation.
The irony.
and and the expectation would be that that same system would look after those people. um, People can go to any kind of A&E and expect to get help. I think in this country, to be fair, as much as we want to knock the UK, it's probably one of the main countries that I
Mhm.
know that you could go to, walk into A&E and get support
Yeah.
without
Yeah.
too much. It's almost
Yeah.
as if we'll
Yeah.
support you, we'll give you the
Yeah.
help, and then we'll maybe ask the
Of
questions
questions
later. So
later.
from
Mm.
that perspective, if you call an ambulance, they're going to see to you. They're not going to. So I suppose from that perspective, we are pretty fortunate. Whereas there are other countries whereby they won't even touch you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from that perspective, but you can't get away from the fact that there are health inequalities. Our elderly, yes, there is a means test. Yes, if you can't afford health, you will get it. You will get the health and support.
Mm.
But if you have to go into a home, it needs to be paid for.
Yeah.
So, you will have to have an assessment of, your means and your ability to pay. And if
Yeah.
you can't pay, then social care will cover that cost.
Mm.
Um, if you don't have the right to be here, however, that is a different
Yeah.
situation, you
Yeah.
know, and it doesn't mean that the country won't support you, because there is a duty of care
Mm.
that we have, and there are acts that say if someone's suffering from mental health and other things, then you do need to help them.
Yeah.
So, but nevertheless, still there are inequalities, and a lot of it, let me say, a lot of it is because we don't know what we're entitled to, because
Yes.
we don't know how to seek the support, we
Mm.
don't.
Yeah.
So therefore, the effects are far reaching for
Mm.
the minority groups than they are for those who were born here, raised here, and know what their entitlement, because there are
Yes.
some that feel that they also have an entitlement,
Yes.
and,
Yes.
and, and, and a lot of the Windrush generation don't feel that they have an entitlement, even though they
Mm.
came and they served. They don't
Yeah.
feel that there is an entitlement.
Yeah. No, definitely. So that leads me on to the caregiver burden, because if this generation don't feel entitled, they're not claiming what they're entitled to, then
Mhm.
that falls on the family. And I just want to read some statistics here. So, unpaid carers are essentially people that do the work,
Yeah,
but just don't get paid for it. People like you and I that may have family, parents that need caring for. So, females are more likely to provide unpaid care than
hmm,
males in every age group up to 80 years old.
yeah,
According to the 2021 census, there are approximately 4.7 million unpaid carers in England.
hmm.
Um, and Parents are usually the main recipients of care, with approximately 33% of unpaid carers caring for a parent outside of their whole household, and 8% caring for a parent who lives inside their household. Now, that is a massive
Phenomenal.
caregiver burden.
Yeah.
Um, and so, in your daily work, are you seeing the effects of that? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm head of service for what they call provider services, which is I think my local authority that I work for. It's one of the few
Mm.
local authorities that still have a lot of those services in house, because
Wow.
a lot of them are provided by external organisations. But I head up the services that are provided. So for example, we have a residential home that is owned by the local
Oh,
authority.
wow. Okay.
I manage day centres, which
Yeah.
we call them friendship clubs, but
Yeah.
'cause day centres.
I love that. Friendship clubs. Yeah.
So we have a friendship club that that is essentially a day centre
Yeah.
where the elderly are brought in to a central place, and they're picked up from across the borough on minibuses and brought in so that they can come in and and receive the support that they
Mm.
need. It reduces isolation because they can be with other people of similar ages, similar experiences, or different experiences,
Yeah.
and they can be given a meal, a nutritious meal, and all of those things, um, and it gives them something to do. And there will be some people that may do that for 3-4 times a week. Some
Yeah.
people may only do that once or twice a week, but at
Yeah.
least that's there. The residential home that we have is a 46 bed home, but within
Wow.
that home, there are permanent residents, but there
Okay.
are also people that will come there for respite.
Yeah.
There'll also be health beds, so people who need nursing care. So nurses will come in and provide support. So a whole mixture within that residential
Yeah.
home. I also manage. You talked about the unpaid carers, and for me,
Mm.
it's a huge thing because I
Yeah.
know what it's like being a carer. I was a carer for my mum pretty much until shortly before she passed away. But carers and the what they experience, um, you know, if it was a case that they didn't do what they do, with those statistics that you mentioned, all our services would be crippled if we
Yeah.
didn't have the
Wow.
carers. So one of the services that I'm able to manage is where we actually provide support for those unpaid carers.
Yeah.
So my staff will go into the homes of the people who require the care and support, and give the carer time, the unpaid carer time,
Amazing.
to go off and do the things that they
Great.
need to do. And those things, for me, that's so important. If you didn't do that, you would have carer breakdown. You would,
Yeah.
because you would have people at crisis point not being able to, and because the population is aging, those
Yeah.
people who are caring for loved ones are of an age themselves. So,
Literally.
sometimes you have carers who need help, who are caring for people who need help. So to be able to do that is important. I also manage the domiciliary care side
Hmm.
of
Hmm.
support, whereby we have carers that go in and provide care to people, whether it be up to 4 times a day
Yeah.
within their homes, giving personal care, providing meals, doing the washing, dressing, sometimes, helping people to even just mobilize. Because
Yeah.
I also, because I provide, we do the domiciliary care, but I also do a reablement service. So I
Okay.
deal with those people
Yes.
who are discharged from hospital. and
Yes.
may not need ongoing care, but they need it initially for a period of up to 6 weeks, whereby, it may be that they have had a fall, or, had an injury or whatever it is, and they need to have that reablement support from a physio, from an OT, or even a nurse. So I have a team, which I'm fortunate, let me tell you, I'm fortunate to manage a multidisciplinary team that's made up of OTs, physios, social workers, nurses, healthcare OT assistants, and also medication staff as well. Because again, when we think about medication, the number of people who are prescribed medication, but they don't take it at the time that they're
Mm,
so
yeah.
therefore there are adverse effects, or they don't take it at all. So again, we have a team of people who make sure that those who have time-specific medication get it at the
Yeah.
times that they need it. And that is a preventative thing, because it stops them from becoming ill, stops them from
Yeah.
going back into hospital and things like that. So I am fortunate to
You
be
are.
able to
Yeah.
work in an area that is dear to my heart, and
Yeah.
actually provides the practical support that people need, the care and the support that they need.
Yeah.
So, and you ask what I see, and do I see inequality? I suppose I'm privileged to be in the position where I'm able to make sure that there is
Yeah.
equality,
Yeah.
equality for all, that the
Yeah.
service is open to all. And I've
Mm,
seen the demographics change, certainly in my local authority, whereby, the demographics of the community and the population have changed
yeah.
so quickly,
Yes.
whereby there are more people who are now accessing the care, there are more people who are now getting the care.
Mm,
And so, and the care provision, as I said, is equitable. I
yeah.
make sure that the standard of care, the quality of care is given to all as how it should be.
Yeah.
But also, there's also the side for me of the workforce, you
Yes.
know, the workforce that I see, and I do have a mixed workforce,
Yes.
and I have seen the demographics of the workforce also change,
Yeah.
and I'm seeing the opportunities,
Mm,
for people who would be classified as a minority. I've
yeah.
seen how they have advanced, and they're growing and they're developing, and
Mm,
even in my service, I've seen the advancement of the let me say the ethnic minorities, although I really don't like the term, but
yeah.
I'm using it so that you understand the people that I'm talking
Yes.
about,
Yeah.
that they are now, not just at the lower levels, that they are advancing. I mean, I have a very diverse team, and I love that, the
Yeah.
diversity I love, and I see it as rich. It's rich.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let me say, when I came into this borough 20 years plus ago, and only working for this borough now for the last 15, but being in the borough, I was very much a minority then,
Yes.
very, very much, but I don't feel like that now.
Yes.
I've seen how things have changed, diversified, and the richness that has brought, you
Mm,
know, not just to, the local authority
yes.
as an organisation, but to the community.
Yes.
How diverse it's become, and how rich it's become.
Mm.
And let me. That's a long answer to a short
No,
question.
that's good. I love that. I love that. So, what role do you see technology playing in, whether that be within care homes, whether that be care in the community, or even your reablement service? What role do you see technology playing?
Technology is already playing a huge role. And when we had like telecare, for
Yeah.
example, we saw the advancement there, and what that did. And those, let me say, for those that you don't understand what's classified as telecare, it's about
Mm.
the tools that can be put in place to help individuals to help themselves. So it
Yes.
could be something as basic as a can opener that has
Mhm.
been adapted so that someone can do it
Yeah.
themselves, even if they have a physical disability, they can use it. To things like a dispenser, an automated dispenser
Mhm.
that reminds someone that they need to take a tablet at a specific time, and there will be an alarm that will go off and whatever. and then it will remind them. So those that can take the medication at that time, it will actually remind them to say it. There will also be things that may actually speak to them to say, right, time to take your meds and things like that.
Yeah.
There are sensors that will tell us if someone has moved from a particular position, for example. So I would say bed sensors, and there are mats that if someone comes out of bed and steps onto a mat, it will send an alert so that you know that that's happened. And we use a lot of that, certainly in the services that I have. And it's advancing. It is advancing. I would say that we are trialing things as well, because with the advancement of AI, let me say, we are trialing things in our services at the moment that helps even the frontline staff with regards to the assessments that they do, the notes that they take. And, we're trialing something called Magic Notes at the moment where, by voice recognition, it will make notes for you and things like that. So, what part does it have to play? I think moving forward, there will be a significant part for it to play, even in the way that we manage care, the way that care is managed. And let me hope, and I say let me hope, that it will never, ever take the place of the human beings in respect of that human interaction, because you can't replace that when it comes to because there are things that, and we do use things to things that the elderly can use to help them with things like dementia and dementia friendly things that they can use to help them with their memory loss and things like that, to engage. But the human contact is something that, in my view, is so important. But we can use technology and AI along with that human interaction, make strides. So I feel that there is a place for it. I'm not going to say that there isn't. I think that there is a huge place, but I think it has to be done with a balance of that kind of human interaction.
I agree totally, and I think that's very much our ethos here at Ox Labs. It's the technology must co-labor with you. It must make it a little bit easier, but it can never replace that human engagement. It's so important, and the elderly need it.
Katrina, let me tell you that my staff will go out to people that the only people that they see on a day-to-day basis is my staff.
Wow.
And there are some services that, for example, in residential, they never sometimes they don't have relatives. Sometimes the relatives live abroad. Hence why, again, technology has played a part, because you can FaceTime, you can use technology so that they can link with their relatives, even if they live across the other side of we've heard people who live in Australia, and we've enabled them on a very regular basis to interact with their family members. So that is a classic example of where it has its place. But I do feel that, and we're we are of an age now where it wasn't like it used to be, where family members all lived in the same location, the same area. People are moving out for all different reasons, and even, and as I said, even moving abroad. So, and, because people are living longer, as I say, sometimes you have the very children that you're expecting to be able to give the care, but actually it's the other way around. And it's still the parents giving the care to the children because of disability or because of ill health and all the rest of it. So the population is changing so much, and we have to adapt how we provide support, how we provide care, to enable to meet all of those needs and to meet people at their point of need. The Care Act is there for a reason, and yes, it does place it does place the responsibilities on local authorities to do what they need to do. But also, as I say, there is also an education process that comes with it. And if we know that there are solutions to particular issues that will help and benefit, then I think it's important that we spread those far and wide so people know what they can access, what's achievable based on the things that they can access. And the fact that it's there, and some of it is free. There's a lot of it that isn't, but a lot of it is free and can be free.
So that's a nice segue into speaking to organizations, because I feel like a lot of leaders in organizations don't know that their employees are also leaders. And I think that's a really important point to make. So, I think that's a nice segue into speaking to organizations, because I feel like a lot of leaders in organizations don't know that their employees are also leaders. And I think that's a really important point to make. So, I think that's a nice segue into speaking to organizations, because I feel like a lot of leaders in organizations don't know that their employees are carrying this caregiver burden, because so often we just go about our daily work,
Mm-hmm.
don't share these things.
Mm-hmm.
So what can employers do to support their workforce who may be caring for elderly parents and elderly loved ones?
Hmm. Um, there is a lot that they can do, because what you say is right. A lot of people do suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people suffer in silence, and I think there's something about being relational with the staff, with your staff, in the
Mm,
workforce. You know, having that relationship where they feel that it's okay to say that I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's
yeah.
okay, and because sometimes the only time that you find that there is an issue is when it's gone very far off the
Yes.
scale, and
Yes.
there's sickness absence, and then you're looking at the reasons for sickness absence, and it's, well, why are they off, and then
Yeah.
it's stress, and then, well, what kind of stress is it? Is it personal? Is it work related? You know,
Mm,
it's that kind of thing. But by that time, it's probably hit a limit.
yes.
You know,
Yes.
for me, I manage a lot of staff. I mean, I'm probably about 300 plus staff
Wow.
I have
Wow.
responsibility for. How I know what's happening across my services for me is really, really important.
Yeah.
And I understand that I'm a bit hard on myself, to be honest with you,
Mm,
because sometimes I recognize that I should be strategic, but
mm,
I'm also kind of very operational as
yes.
well.
Yes.
And it's also important that I give guidance too to my
Yeah.
line managers, that you actually need to know what's happening within your service. You need to know, because whether we want to accept it or not, the people that we work with are our work family. We spend
Yes.
so much time with these people,
Yes.
you know. So, today, for example, later on this afternoon, I will be going to pay my respects at a funeral of a
Mm,
family member of us, one of my staff members.
yeah.
And for me, that's really
Yeah.
important,
Yeah.
you know, and recognizing that not only have I had that, but I've had staff, who have passed away. Um,
Mm,
I've had staff who have been ill, who are managing care, and what that does, and the mental stress and the mental pressures that that brings. Um, the fact that I know that, for
yeah.
me, is important, because
Yes.
I then need to know, well, what support can we give? What
Yes.
support and it's making sure that the staff know that we are there, not to be punitive because of the fact that
Mhm.
they're having time off, or, well, when are you coming back to work? But it's actually, how can we as an organisation support you?
Yeah.
My organisation, for example, has an employee assistance program,
Okay.
and we therefore signpost staff, so if they need counselling support, then
Mm,
it's there, and other types of support. If they need it, then it's there. If there are issues with debt and finance, then the organisation has support for that.
yes.
But I think it's that dialogue about the fact that there is help available. If you
Yes.
are a carer caring for someone, then there is support. We have obviously we have young carers, because
Yeah.
that's also an area. You have
More.
young children who are helping in the family with a
Wow.
caring role. So it's not just about adults. You have young carers who are there, and there as a support. And it's, how can we support them? So we as a local authority will support young carers as
Mhm.
well as supporting the adult carers. So it's something that, for me, so from a workforce perspective, we have to remember that when people walk into work, they are employees. But when
Yeah.
they leave work and go out, they become the community. So
Yes.
it's important that we make sure that the community knows what's available, what is available to you, what can you access, what support is there, because there is a vast amount of support. But if we don't make sure that people are aware of it, then
Yeah.
they will suffer. They will
Yeah.
suffer in silence. So for me, I can do it both ways. I can make
Yeah.
sure that the community at large is made aware, but I can also make sure that my workforce, that my employees know that actually you are working for an employer that is supportive, that has a lot of forums that you can,
Yeah.
go to. We even have we actually have a spiritual group. We have a group
Wow.
that meets together, and
Yeah.
they will pray and they will share
Yeah.
their spiritual,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, their spiritual the issues that and pray for each other, as well as other groups. Yes, you do have the LGBTQ groups,
Yeah.
plus groups as well,
Yeah.
and all the other diverse groups that people can get support from.
Yeah.
So as a workforce, I do feel that we do a lot to
Okay.
engage, and so that they are aware of what support is there for them. And I do feel that if there is a need for support with care and care and support, then that is there for them as well, and that they can, that they know what's available to them, and that's really, really important.
Yeah, very much so. And so,
And organisations, I know that there are lots of organisations who do exactly the same and follow suit and will support. But as I said, the fundamental thing is about being relational, is about your
yes,
employees knowing that you are there to support them and what support is available for them as employees, but also as the community.
yeah, 100%. No, I love that. So as a psychotherapist and a psychologist,
Yes.
what advice would you give to someone watching this who is an executive, does have a lot of responsibility at work and also at home, caring for elderly loved ones? From a psychologist's perspective, what advice would you give?
Okay, so I don't practice as a psychologist now.
Yeah.
I do as a psychotherapist,
Yeah.
and I have lots of clients who will come with competing demands,
Yeah.
and as we all do,
Yeah.
we have these very, even me, these various roles that we have,
Yeah.
mother, grandmother, work colleague,
Mm.
manager, all of these roles that we have, and whether we serve in a faith community in a church or a youth group so it is how we live now. This is
Yeah.
our norm. The norm is that we juggle different plates and different things, and we wear different hats. I think for me, if there is definitely something that is important, it is about self-care.
Yeah.
It's about that kind of, you know, there's no point, you can't, unless you've got your own life jacket, you
Yes.
can't help someone else. So first and foremost, it's actually making sure that from a perspective of self, that as an individual, that you look after yourself, that you rest,
Mm.
you you make sure that you eat properly, that I mean, even me, I mean, I know that, I spend a lot of time in front of the computer, and I know
Mm.
what that's done physically with my
Mm.
eyesight, different things,
Yeah.
taking regular breaks. And I know that we say it, we tell people that you should do this. We don't necessarily do it ourselves, but
Exactly
the
that. Yeah.
reality is
Yeah.
that you should, what I also find is really, really important, that I know that we don't do enough, is we don't talk about how we're feeling. We
Yeah.
don't talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't share of ourselves enough. We don't say, well, you know what, I'm going through this, or I'm going through that.
Mm.
Almost as if it's taboo, that you shouldn't be, this stiff upper lip, I've got to be okay.
Yeah.
People need to know that actually it's okay not to be okay at
Yeah.
times. You will go through periods of vulnerability, is what I term it as.
Yeah.
You don't have to be a particular person to be vulnerable. We may go through low mood, we may go through depression, we may go through a work overload. There are times myself that I feel overwhelmed,
Yeah.
but what do I do about it? I recognize it,
Yeah.
and look for the signs. What signs are there? What triggers are there?
Mm.
How what is my body telling me?
Yeah.
Because your body speaks to you.
It does.
And the thing about it is, sometimes we want to ignore what our body's telling us, but
Yeah.
it's volumes. It
Yes.
does. You
Yeah.
start getting headaches. It's a trigger for something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Your eyes start. Your vision isn't as it was. It's telling you something.
Absolutely.
But we ignore it a lot of the
Yeah.
time. So I would say, pay attention to your body, pay
Yeah.
attention to yourself, and then when you are intact, or it helps you to help others, and you can help them
100%.
from a place of lived experience. Because I've been through so many different things, my lived experience really does play a part in how I
Yes.
help others.
Yes.
So when I see clients, or when I am with my staff, I don't act as if I'm in a counselling,
Mm.
but I come from a very humanistic perspective.
Yes.
And it is around human learning. It is around my lived experience. It is around what I've learned, what I've gone through, and how it's helped me, and then and it helps others, And I say, well, this is how it worked for me. This is what I did. You could try this, but do what works for you.
Yes.
And because we are all individuals, and I try to encourage people to look at things from different lenses, from different perspectives. If you keep looking at it from your own lens and your own viewpoint, you will never see the richness of what it can be looking at it from other people's perspectives and hearing it. Because I may look at something, and from my viewpoint, it looks like it's this. But from another person's viewpoint, they're looking at it from a different perspective. They're all valuable. We need to hear them all. Let's hear all the perspectives. And that's not comfortable for everyone. Sometimes people get uncomfortable. And my clients, my staff, sometimes they are put in very uncomfortable places.
Yes.
But that actually is the platform for them to become comfortable.
Yeah.
And I say that, how can we help? We can help in various ways.
Yeah.
But what I found in my lifetime, and it took me a while to find my voice, let me say. I haven't always been as vocal as you see me now. I haven't always been as easy to kind of get on a platform like this. But what I realized, and what I have realized over my lifetime, and as I get older, and and I think I have had defining moments, over my lifetime. And I remember, it's really, now that I'm sitting here, I remember when I was 40. When I was 40, I had a really serious illness. I had a tumor on my pituitary gland that caused me to be in bed for many months. I was very, very ill. But there was a defining moment for me, because even in my 40s, I realized that I had lived such a life at that point. My life, yes, turbulent, different experiences. But at that point in time, I thought at that time I thought I was close to death. So hence why I had a lot of self-reflection and all of that. But I realized that I had lived such a good life, as much as I had made it. I had made it what it was. And even in the disappointments that I had, I found the positives out of the negatives. And when I got to 50, it was no different. It was, for me, it was such an achievement. But I will say that last year, when I got to 60, there was something for me, because I had 3 siblings who had never, they made it to 59.
Wow.
They didn't make it to 60.
Wow.
So it was, for me, it was really, really important. And I think I'd never really looked at health in the same way as I had in my 59th year, because I remember my apprehension and wondering whether I'd ever make it to 60 because of, the fact that I'd lost 3 siblings. In their 59th year, they didn't make it to 60.
Wow.
And when I actually reached my 60th birthday, for me, it was important to celebrate. To celebrate life, and to celebrate what life could bring, what it can bring, what it will bring. I looked at it from such a different perspective. But I also looked at it with regards to health. And, but also recognizing it from my own perspective about what is my future going to be. And even now, my son, I'm 61 now, because I've just celebrated my birthday actually this weekend.
Oh, congrats. Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday.
Thank you. But I had a phenomenal time. But also, it's interesting, and I know that we're running out of time, but I will say to you that the interesting thing for me was, a couple of days before my birthday, I had a conversation with my youngest son, who was almost talking about my older age and what would happen, and almost helping to plan what's going to happen. And, Mum, what we're going to do, and and I want you to be close to me, and You know, I
Oh,
don't want you to go into a home, so let's
yeah.
do this and let's think
Yeah.
about that. And it again, you know, another defining moment that actually
Mm.
I have children who are actually thinking about my
Yes.
welfare, thinking
Yeah.
about, you know, and again, I find that rich, the fact that I've got children who are thinking about me in that way, and the fact that I was fortunate to be able to look after my mum.
Yeah.
And to, you know, my father, my father's passed away, but my mum, I was able to look after her and to make sure she was looked after, and I had carers for her. You
Yeah.
know, even when she went into a home, I still employed private carers to make sure that her quality of life was great.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she died during COVID, which was devastating for me. But the again, if I go back to that thing of looking at the positives in every negative situation. My mum's quality of life right up until the very end was great because I made a
Yeah.
point of making it so.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, health is important.
Yeah.
Planning for things like retirement. We don't plan well
Yes.
enough, I think
Yeah.
sometimes things happen to us. But I think we should always be thinking about health. And so I raise awareness about health inequalities, about encouraging people to think about health in all its guises. So whatever Ox Labs can do to
Yeah.
contribute to that, then yeah, I'll be raising awareness about that
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
It is so important. Health is wealth. It
Yeah.
is.
It is.
You have
It
all the
is.
money in the world, but if you don't have good health, you know you can't live in the way that you want to. So
Yeah.
having good health, and I thank God that I now feel that I'm in a very much healthier place. I feel younger now than I did
Yeah.
when I was 40. I
Yeah.
feel like I look younger now than I
Yes.
was
You look
when I
amazing. And Selena's even just saying that. Like, wow. Like,
But it's because I've been intentional about it. And I think we
yeah.
do need to be intentional when it
Yeah.
comes to our health. We really do. We need to, and we do also need to be our brother's keeper.
We
And that's
do.
what I do. So it's
Yeah.
about helping other people on that
Yeah.
journey. There's no
Yeah.
point in me just saying, well, yeah, I'm okay. I'm all right, Jack. It's
Yeah.
not about that. It's helping other people
Yeah.
to feel how I feel and to, you know, to be at their baseline of health and happiness and what that means
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
And I am, let me tell you, and Selena, for you, I can tell you that I am living my best life. I am
Mm.
so happy. I am so content. And it isn't because I've had a great and fantastic life, but it's about where I am now. I am intentional about the last trimester or whatever it is of my life. And I'm
Yeah.
saying trimester, but the last phase of my life being as happy and contented as it can be. And I'm encouraging everyone out there to try to do the same, be intentional. My
Yeah.
mum used to say that if you can't do good, don't do bad.
Yes.
That's also what I live by. And I suppose that freeness that I feel and that happiness that I feel comes from my faith and comes from that. So,
Yeah. Oh my gosh, this has been so rich, Angela. And I knew it would be. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking
thank
to
you.
you. And I know that those watching this live, those catching the replay, would have felt just as I do as well. And I think that's such a wonderful note to end on, because we're all about safeguarding the well-being of the elderly. We're all about
Definitely,
living
definitely.
happier lives for longer, and that's yeah,
Fulfilling lives, definitely.
absolutely. And that's our mission here at Oxlabs, and that's why we're hosting these conversations, because we need to raise awareness. You know, we
Definitely.
need to facilitate, not just speak about it, but facilitate actually enabling us all as we age to live happier lives for longer.
Definitely.
So as well as your working local authority, before we leave, if people want to connect with you or tap into the things that you do outside of your day job, how can they connect with you?
Okay, so I haven't spoken much about RAFA because that's an organisation that I do with the International Development Agency.
Yeah.
But I would say that if you want to connect with me, the easiest thing to do would be to go onto my website,
Hmm.
which is www.caregivers, theangelaclarke.co.uk. I would say that'll probably be the easiest. You can find me on Instagram because I am on that too. And let me tell you, I'm not great at tech, so I'm still learning myself. But I also do have a Facebook, Angela Clarke. So please just look me up, Angela Clarke. Yeah. So thank you, Selena.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's just been great, and thank you for just thank you for the privilege of being on this your first
Yes.
episode. So I really thank you for that, and I'm
Yeah.
sure that the episodes to come will be as inspirational as people have found this. So
Yeah.
thank you.
No,
Thank
thank you, Angela. So this has been the first episode of Habitat Dialogues, navigating work, family, and aging loved ones. I hope you've enjoyed it. Those watching live, those catching the replay, do reach out and connect with Angela. She is amazing in every sense of the word. So
you.
thank you once again, Angela. Thank you for those watching, and see you in the next episode. Have a super
Perfect.
blessed day.
Thank you so
Bye.
much. Take care, everyone. Thank you.